Traditional Ukrainian and Tripilian symbols in a modern-day interior. A painter who applies her paintings on hand-woven tapestries. How Ukrainian culture gets new life in the ethno-modern style. UATV tells about an unusual collaboration between a painter and weavers in a unique interior collection. Christian Easter is a celebration of unity of many symbols. If it is seen foremost as a cultural phenomenon, one can notice that the history of resurrection can be found in the religions and mythology of many civilizations. Christianity, as a relatively young religion, adopted old pagan narratives, filling them with its essence based on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. At the same time, Christians adopted many traditions, such as the exchange of colored eggs. Easter bunnies are an attribute of the pagan holiday in honor of northern goddess Eostre. The first priests of the Christian Church also tried to put an end to the tradition of baking sacred bread for the Jewish holiday of Pesach, but eventually they had to adapt it. All this does not mean that some religions steal practices from others. It is simply the fact that the nature of humankind of a certain culture requires a meaningful connection with the past and associations with long-gone ancestors. This is not plagiarism, but rethinking that most often generates a new stage of material culture. Different nations that lived on the territory of modern Ukraine for thousands of years left behind an incredible cultural strata that to this very day are still waiting to be rediscovered.
Я художник, работаю в живописи.
I'm a painter. I work in painting and in graphics, but now I am currently engaged in decorating. I use many of our ancient symbols and signs in my current works to show people true history.
Наши древние символы, знаки.
In early 2019, Christina Haidamaka designed her first ethno-modern collection of interior items. Its key items became tapestries woven on authentic handmade materials in a single copy. Every aspect of this collaboration between a painter and weavers is closely linked to the continuation and rethinking of old traditions.
Всі техніки, які застосовуються в роботі, вони
All the techniques used in our work are traditional because they were used by our ancestors. And based on this and on modern education, we're designing something new.
використовуємо, виходячи із освіти.
Watch next in our program, where Christina Haidamaka gets inspiration and why her strive for Ukrainian culture was forbidden, how to transfer an image from canvas or a PC to handmade tapestry, and what lies behind these unusual modern images. Watch now the full analysis of the unique Ukrainian ethno-modern project on UATV.
У нас всегда в семье почитались традиции. У нас, то есть, всегда мы там писали.
We always had traditions in our family. We painted pisanki, colored eggs. We always had Ukrainian embroidered towels in our home. All this was forbidden, and it was all done underground. My father also introduced to us his family values from his native village.
Привез все свои, ну, как бы вот семейные тоже ценности.
Christina was sent to a Ukrainian language elementary school, but education in the Soviet Union was ideological. National identity was an obstacle to a new Soviet one. Taras Shevchenko and Lesya Ukrainka were considered official. As for ornaments, there was not a word about symbols. That is, they were just called Ukrainian patterns. But in fact, this was coded information that was sent by our ancestors to us. This information has a deep meaning about the universe and relationships. If people lose this contact, they'll lose their identity. Fortunately, many Ukrainian families preserved both traditions and samples of material culture. After Ukraine gained independence, there was no censorship and taboos. By that time, Christina had become a painter. In her paintings and graphics, from the very beginning, she appealed to the symbolic sources of different cultures. From artifacts of the so-called Tripilian tribes that lived in Ukrainian Podylia between the 6th and 3rd millennia BC, to the sculptures of the Scythian civilization, which had inhabited the Black Sea region some 28 centuries ago.
Both
Scythian stele and Tripilian artifacts are the history of Ukrainian lands. It's clear that it cannot be identified as Ukrainian, but there are roots which we do not fully know. There is a lot to be discovered. One cannot miss some surrealism hidden in ethnicity and symbolism of Christina's paintings. Indeed, Salvador Dali had a very strong impression on the Ukrainian painter. This is clearly visible in her paintings that she called the Window series. A square is like a magical figure for Ukrainians. It symbolizes harmony and 4 cardinal points. 4 is the sacred number of Ukrainian symbols.
символики.
And here, this window is like a portal. Each painting depicts some different emotions. Somewhere it is love, and elsewhere it is pain. One of these paintings later became the basis for one of the author's tapestries. Especially for UATV, Kristina Haidamaka shares her thoughts as to why she needed to look for other means of self-expression, and technologist Anna Zabutska explains how difficult it is to transfer artwork to a woven cloth, and in general, how it is done. A picture by a talented painter is always serious and not a very practical acquisition. Painting as such occupies a narrow niche in interior design. It cannot decorate every wall, and if the work is valuable, it requires high safety. There are many paintings by Kristina in her house, but once the artist wanted to make her works more accessible and practical. I wanted to create unique things that would provide both meaning and a decorative function.
Несут в себе и смысл, и декоративную функцию. А это такие вещи, которые востребованы, то есть лампы, шторы.
And these are such things that are in demand: lamps, curtains, and carpets. The last slogan of my works is to turn typical art into unique art. It looks not so difficult. One can make curtains with print, and then you have a picture on the window or on a sofa in the form of a pillow. But Kristina didn't want to replicate her own works, and she found the answer in Ukrainian traditions. Weaving and carpets are among the first ancient decors in the interior. They were both on the floor and on the walls. All women could weave them. It was a traditional craft, and there was nothing unusual about it.
То есть это было традиционное, и ничего необычного в этом не было.
So I decided to make a modern carpet in the same way that our ancestors did.
Наши предки, но современный ковер.
Kristina immediately found potential contractors in India and Morocco, where weaving has been preserved to this day as a manual industry. But the painter faced an internal contradiction. Ukrainian symbols are performed by people of completely different cultures who do not understand the context. She wanted something authentic. I was looking for someone who wants to experiment in Kiev or basically in Ukraine, and then I found contractors. This came to fruition when the first workshop was opened in Kiev, though it was actually the second one. We had a new young team, a new office and new equipment, but we had to organize all the work from scratch. This task of making the tapestry The Birds of Paradise on the basis of Kristina's complex picture was quite complicated. Using print technology, almost any image can be easily transferred to any fabric. It is much more difficult to weave a picture on a tapestry, especially if it is a pictorial work with color transitions, small details, and a different background. In the case of The Birds of Paradise, Kristina wanted to understand whether her painting would look presentable on tapestry. The artist had to digitize her image and jointly with technology Zana set the palette of woolen threads. About 90% of the threads were hand-painted, as the canvas was quite picturesque. There were a lot of cold shades of purple, blue, light blue, a lot of gray, and also shades of green. These are rather complex tones. As such, threads are quite rare. Aniline is used as a dye here. Threads are purchased from Ukrainian or foreign manufacturers. After the raw materials are ready, on the vertical weaving machine, white threads of the base are stretched, and then, from the bottom up, this frame is woven with color threads, row by row, giving the outer layer alternately to different shades. The picture printed in full size right behind the machine serves as a visual aid. The complexity of the most picturesque canvas by Kristina required the use of many different techniques, which is why it took a long time to weave the carpet. Indeed, it took 3 months and the work of 2 masters to weave this incredible piece of work. It became clear that if the work The Bird of Paradise turned out well, then the work's windows and islands would also be masterpieces. This time the pictures had to be reworked.
Ну, я чуть композиционно там поменяла.
I changed it compositionally to turn its square form into rectangular form. It can be used both on the wall and on the floor. And to make it more harmonious, if it's for the floor, I finalized it.
Больше гармонии для, вот, если он будет на полу лежать. Я как бы доработала его.
If it became impossible to weave some element of the image, Anna told Christina how to modify it. Masters also make many adjustments. Sometimes, after comparison with the original image, the purchased threads have to be replaced to link them with the test piece. This work requires great concentration of power and attention.
5 днів на тиждень із 10
5 days a week, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., masters weave, and they often wipe their eyes due to exhaustion. It happens that they often fail to notice their mistakes.
а вони постійно бувають, і в нас є якась там грань.
Of course, we have some kind of allowable edge. If you made some piece incorrectly in comparison with the original, you have to unweave it.
Один в один, то так, його доводиться розпускати.
Anna says that it does not make sense to unweave more than 5 centimeters, as it will take too much time. So the master's tasks during weaving are to point out possible mistakes to one another. The tapestry based on the picture The Island did not take that long to weave, though it turned out to be more complicated than the Birds of Paradise.
Він складний тим, що він містив і
It was complicated in terms of pictorial, graphic, and decorative elements. There was also a geometric piece that served as the central element of the composition.
геометричний цей кусок, який є центром композиції. Тому для кожного
Each fragment required application of such a special technique and the switching from one technique to another during 2 months of work.
на іншу впродовж всієї роботи, яка тривала близько 2 місяців.
In woven form, this work was called gravity, and indeed, an ornamental square in the middle of the forest immediately draws one's attention.
Все гармонично.
Everything is harmonious, both nature and what a person creates. It all comes from our environment, from nature, space. It's all a single whole.
Природы, космоса, то есть это все единое целое.
The key work of Christina's new collection was Ausonia. This concept is difficult to translate into other languages.
Ausonia – это
Ausonia is an ancient Ukrainian word that means a place lit and warmed by the sun.
здесь,
It depicts the tree of life, including a straight trunk that means our time.
ну, как бы вот прямой ствол – это как бы наше время, да? Корень
Its root is a contact with ancestors, and its central flower is a contact with God, with space and the world.
космосом, ну, с миром.
The work Red Magic is also dedicated to the same topic, namely the world structure. In essence, it is also the tree of life, even if it looks like a flower. Symbolic language has many dialects, and Christina used them to move away from traditional forms. Finally, the last work from the Ausonia series was Quantum of Life. On the background of others, it may look rustic, but the tapestry also took a month of hard work.
Здесь я хотела образ
Here I wanted to figuratively show such symbols as flowers and birds, creating such a geometric pattern.
создающий такой геометрический орнамент.
This symbol came from the Tripolian times.
Польских времен.
It
Это
is Makosh,
богиня,
a goddess who spins the thread of fate, connecting man and God.
которая соединяет человека и Бога.
It took more than 6 months to create a collection of tapestries. In late March of 2019, Christina organized a presentation at the Center of Folk Culture, the Museum of Ivan Honchar, complementing her key works with interior items such as chairs and lamps. The party in the ethnographic museum decorated with ancient symbols was a great success, and this is exactly what the painter wanted. The link of times, reinterpretation of people's memory, and the continuation of traditions are very important in the modern world, according to Christina.
Цель это чтобы наш
We aim at making our Ukrainian interior unique.
заходишь, но все равно ты смотришь, там итальянский.
One can easily identify an Italian or Scandinavian interior or eclecticism. Therefore, I would like to make our Ukrainian style recognizable.
Случился наш украинский стиль, и пусть он называется там, не знаю, этномодерн.
Let it be called ethno-modern. It doesn't matter, but without appeal to the roots, traditions, symbols, we become alike with others.
Ну,
We have something that can truly identify us as Ukrainian people and a nation, and it's all especially done in a Ukrainian style to capture the interest of people all over the world.
украинский стиль.